It is knowing how to find information and where to find information, and then how to digest it and cut it down in small pieces so people can understand what you're talking about. Because crypto can be very complex. If you need to explain to somebody what proof of work is, then yeah, that's mining. Well, that doesn't help, does it? So you need to break that down in small pieces and explain step by step what it involves. And that's also how I learned about crypto, basically.
But all right. Well, thanks for joining today, Camille. How do you say your name? Camille, right?
Camille, yes, indeed, yes.
Camille. It's lovely to have you on my channel. It was lovely meeting you in Bali for the SUI event. And it was very interesting to find out, actually, and we'll get into this in a second, but you live in Koh Phangan in
No,
Thailand.
Koh Samui, next to Koh Phangan.
Koh Samui. We
Yeah.
lived in Koh Phangan.
Yes, indeed.
And
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and Samui is just across the water. It's such a beautiful place.
We were practically neighbors.
We were practically neighbors. And I know Sash, right? Sash is your founder. Yeah, I worked with him back in the day. So shout out to you, Sash, if you're watching.
Cool.
Back
He
in the
will
day
see this for sure. Yeah.
Back when I was the CMO at Paid Network.
Okay.
I remember working with him and his team.
Yeah.
Amazing. But I didn't get to meet you.
That's why I'm wearing the t-shirt, Surge, because that's his project.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is Surge?
Surge is a Telegram bot. It's like you can compare it with Tinder, but then for crypto assets.
Really?
So you swipe left to right. It's got a 10-minute, 24-hour window or 24-hour window.
Yeah.
So if you think a token goes up or down, you swipe either left or right.
Huh.
And you can bet on it and you can win things. And it's in beta right now. And I'll send you the link later. You can try it out.
That is really cool. We weren't expecting to talk about I was not familiar with Surge, but that's amazing. Remind me, do you remember at the SUI event, what was the betting or like that sort of
Double up?
Double up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys in any way partnering or going to work together, or is that
we talked to them, but we haven't heard back from them yet.
Okay.
So,
well, hopefully they see this and they get back to you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, that said, you have taken on quite the role at AltcoinBuzz. Your channel has 469,000, is that right? Subscribers. And you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to get into crypto and what has your journey looked like up until here?
Okay. Well, first of all, it was really nice to meet you as well in Bali. So I'm glad we are doing this now. But to get back to my journey in crypto, that started about 5 years ago, and that was caused by COVID.
Oh, really?
I used to be a scuba diver instructor trainer, so I was teaching people to become instructors.
Yeah.
But yeah, during COVID, everything closed down, and a tourist destination like Koh Samui was like a ghost town. So it was a couple of months very hard, and then I started to write on a freelance basis, and I started to make some money. And all of a sudden, one of my former candidates from those dive courses sent me a link for a Dutch company that were looking for writers about crypto. And I didn't have a clue about crypto whatsoever. But I applied and I said I was willing to learn and I'm open to new ideas. And to my big surprise, they hired me.
Really?
So when I asked him later how on earth they hired me, they said basically you were one of the very few people that said that you were willing to learn something new and were open to new ideas. So that's where it really started. I worked for them for a couple of months. Then I worked for another Dutch company for a couple of months. I started to freelance, and I started to write in English, because writing in Dutch was actually a challenge, because I am originally Dutch. I didn't write in Dutch for donkey's ages. So to actually start writing in Dutch, that was an additional challenge. I was more used to writing in English.
Hmm.
So once I started to work as a freelance writer, the opportunity came along with AltcoinBuzz, and I applied for a job there. And once again, they hired me, and that's almost 3.5 years ago now. And ever
Wow.
since, I've been writing for them. I started out as writing news, website articles, and then I moved into the YouTube content.
Yeah.
And now I would say I write 80 to 90% or more of the YouTube scripts for our channel.
Wow. That's quite the journey.
It
That is
is.
quite,
It's,
yeah, that's quite
it's been
impressive.
a very steep learning curve, but a very
I,
enjoyable one. Very
I,
enjoyable.
I so hear you because I started out also as the CMO, as I was saying, for Paid Network when I met Sash, and I was completely new to crypto. I had signed up for my first blockchain course because I was in digital marketing before,
Yeah.
and I met Kyle right around the same time. And I had a stacked background in marketing. I had worked for like huge Fortune 500s, Microsoft, Amazon, Dow, like a bunch of them on different sides of like the marketing, advertisement, PR, sort of like spectrum. But, you know, I didn't know anything about crypto. I had just signed up for my first course and they needed help in marketing. So I was like, I can learn because when like what you said is so key. If you know how to learn and you have your formula as a professional, then you plug the crypto data into your framework and then you can figure it out, right? There's like, I forget who said it, but there's a quote that says, how does it go? It says something like, the value of your life will be measured by the value of your questions,
That's a good
and
one. Yeah. I like that.
yeah. And it's so true. And it's so incredible what you're saying because you were willing to learn. And I think so many people, if I could speak for everybody, your audience, my audience, they want to get into crypto, but it's so daunting. Like in the beginning, it's like Chinese, it's
Very
like
challenging.
it's
Very
so
challenging.
it's
Yeah.
so alien, you're like, what is this? And there's a whole vocabulary and jargon and it's a
And
lot,
let's start
but
about wallets.
I know it's so much for people, and I think that's one of the main approaches to my channel is trying to make crypto content digestible for everybody, you
Yeah.
know?
And
And
yeah, that's kind of what we try to do as well. Explain crypto as if you were 5 years old.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what does your process look like though as a writer? Because I think that's something that everyone could learn from. Because if you want to be successful in your investments, you need to know what's going on. You need to know where to get your news. You need to like learn how to learn to manage your investments. And as a
Okay.
writer, you had to do this within this in the steep learning curve, as you said. So,
It was a
and,
massive steep learning
oh
curve,
my
but
God, kudos to
I
you.
really enjoyed it. And I took so much on board in the very first year. And I mean, I still keep learning different things, new things. I mean, I'm way ahead of what I knew 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because now my editor sometimes has to remind me, Camille, you know so much more than your audience knows. Certain things you need to explain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need to slow down sometimes. But let's start at the beginning. And I already had a little bit of a writing background, because when I was at the time being a Paddy course director, that's the person who teaches these professional dive courses. I was having I was writing in my blogs, and so I learned a little bit about SEO. I learned how to upload articles. So there was a kind of a basic knowledge was there. Yeah, and it was also something that interested me. SEO, for people who don't know that, is a search engine optimization that basically helps you to get on the first page and ideally in the first spot on a Google search page. Yeah, because the higher you are placed, the more likely people will actually click on your links. And that's what we all want, right?
Right.
We want more clicks. We want more people to look at us. We want more people to subscribe, you name it. So that is one of the basics that I already had under my belt. But once I started with writing about crypto, I remember my first assignment was about crypto in China. And I really had to look everything up. And yeah, back in the days, Google was my friend. So you searched and you learned how to refine your search. You learn how to ask better questions, how to find stuff faster and easier. And fast track forward, nowadays we see that the search engine is taken over by AI actually.
Yeah.
So all the questions that you had for Google or whatever search forum you used, now you use ChatGPT or Perplexity or you name it, and it comes up with a much more refined answer and a lot, well, maybe not as faster, but yeah, I use that a lot more nowadays. Yeah. So that is in a nutshell how I started. But yeah, it is knowing how to find information and where to find information, and then how to digest it and cut it down in small pieces so people can understand what you're talking about. Because crypto can be very complex. If you need to explain to somebody what proof of work is, then yeah, that's mining. Well, that doesn't help, does it?
No. Right.
um, So you need to break that down in small pieces and explain step by step what it involves. And that's also how I learned about crypto, basically. Yeah, and to get back to the sample that I gave about wallets, it took me a couple of months before I dared to do my first transaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
something you just start up and start doing it. You write about it, you learn about it, but then taking yourself that first step still took a couple of months for myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now I
That
have
is
like over 100 wallets, and I
right.
wish I
Right.
only have one wallet, you know?
Now with wallet management.
Yep.
And yeah, that it's a steep, steep learning curve. It really is. But now is such a good time for everyone. If they're hopefully everyone watching this is already involved in crypto and has already taken those first baby steps. But man, like I find myself at the grocery store, like everywhere that I can. I don't even need to, like inserting it. Like you should buy some Bitcoin. You should buy some Solana, some Sui. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
because people need to know. People don't know.
Yep.
Like
That's
I
true.
brought this up on my channel the other day, and it's like the system doesn't teach people how to invest. It doesn't teach people money. It doesn't teach people how money works. And so because people don't even know how money works, they don't understand the value of crypto and Web3 finance because they don't understand how our current finances are broken to begin with. So that's where, I usually end up taking my conversation because people just don't know. Like unless you grew up in a family that was, they were smart money managers, it very much so is a legacy like passed on, wealth of information. And if you didn't grow up in a family like that, like you have to learn on your own. And it's such a journey. So it's really wonderful what you're doing on your channel and like really breaking down, the information. But that said, let us segue into what I know so many people are wondering, and that is we know that tomorrow so this video will come out. We'll coordinate, you and I, behind the scenes, but we know that we know that Jerome Powell is coming out, even though he's about to be replaced. But didn't they announce it? It's like a Stefan. Did you catch the name of who's going to be the next?
I did, and I forgot again. But I mean, I would expect for him to sit it out until, what is it, May?
Yeah.
And then, to make a long story short, there is no reason for him to step down. You know, Trump can.
Well, there's a lot of pressure behind the scenes, right?
Oh yeah,
Like, Trump,
and Trump can keep shouting from the roofs that he should go.
It's
But
so
I mean, at the end of the day, there is. But under the pressure, he may succumb. I agree.
Well,
But in itself, I think it is very, very important that the Fed, the Federal Reserve, actually stays independent.
independent. Yeah.
That
I
is
know.
very
That was,
huge.
I know, because I mean, Trump, this is the name, Stefan Moran,
There you go.
M-I-R,
Yeah.
Stefan
Yeah.
Moran. And Trump did comment, as this was announced, that he would like to have more control over the federal bank. That is extremely controversial, as you're saying, because then basically the US would have would just like amp up its monopoly, right, on the whole global financial
Yeah.
system, which could provoke, I don't know exactly what it could provoke, but a lot more disease in the market, right? I mean, the world already kind of resents the US for all of its like global oppression and financial dominance. So I don't know how that's going to go down. But anyway, back to what I really want to know your opinion on is, what do you think is going to happen? Because right now we're looking at, mixed signals from the CPI data and the PPI data. And we don't know, right? Is Jerome Powell going to cut interest
No,
rates?
we don't. I mean, we won't know until he actually reveals tomorrow what he's going to do.
Yeah.
The general tendency on all prediction platforms ranks between 84 and 94% that there will be a rate cut.
Yeah.
And most likely around 25%. There is an 11% group of people that think it could be 50.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if he's going to do a rate cut, then it's going to be 25%.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree.
I,
Keep going.
I also think it will not immediately impact crypto.
Really?
Things need to, slowly gear up. It's interesting to see how we go sideways at the moment. But before that, liquidity actually, because if there is a rate cut, it becomes easier to borrow money. Yeah, the interest rates aren't as high. That will free up liquidity. And before that really starts to trickle into risk assets like crypto, that will take a couple of weeks, I think. There will be maybe an immediate surge because people are already in crypto. They're anticipating that the bull run will finally start. So, but I think before we see a real uptick, that could easily be 3 or 4 weeks from now, I think.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, Jerome Powell in general has been extremely conservative.
And look, you are
know?
looking at two completely opposing points of view. Trump, who wants the rate cuts because he wants low interest, that will help him.
Yeah.
But Powell needs to look at the bigger picture. He's not interested in the short-term interests of the current president of the US. He's looking at it from a completely different angle. Yeah, and what he looks at is like a year ahead, maybe 2 years ahead. And with all due respect, but Trump doesn't look that far ahead. He's not interested in that, not right now.
Well, I do think that Trump, I know he's a polarizing human being, and I know many people like as I said, they love him or they hate him, but something, I don't always nail it on the head, but I would say I have been generally, I don't like 90%, 90 or 95%, like good at identifying intentions of people. And I would say that what I get off of him, he's definitely has a lot of his own motives. We see this through his World Liberty Financial, like family fund company office. And
Oh, are you
his,
still there?
it is part of his brand to grow money. And part of his brand is his family's legacy and making sure that they stay number one. So 100%, I'm not in denial of this. And I know he's been scrutinized across the board from many people saying that he's capitalizing off of his position. Of course he is. Actually, everyone does. Every single president comes out of the office, like a millionaire or a multimillionaire with book deals and speaking deals. And they know this. Everyone understands the process. So I don't think it's, that part is entirely shocking. But I do hear in his speeches, because I listen to almost every single one, that there is this like resounding like intention of his to make America strong and powerful. And yes, because he's American, but what I also hear is because America, yes, it has oppressed many countries. I'm originally from Bolivia, South America. And just in my own country, there is a resentment against like American globalization because so many, like our mines, like Bolivia is rich in silver mines, and American companies have gone in and taken over our natural resources and have in many ways just, I'm not going to say like enslaved because they're not literally enslaved, but they've hired local like, people in these small towns, because Bolivia is highly indigenous, 80% indigenous, and put them to work in their own mines when this is their own natural, like like inherited natural resources from their own country. So there's like a lot of resentment globally against America, but America has, for all of its, in all of its methods, insisted on peace. And I do see Trump doing that right now. This is not a political conversation, I know, but he is fighting for peace. We see that between Russia and Ukraine and in other countries too. So anyway, I do see like an overall like good intention from him in trying to make sure that he can keep the countries of the world out of war. And the world also does follow in America's footsteps. I've also seen this coming from Bolivia, where whatever happens in the US, there's a trickle effect across the other countries.
It does.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And so in many ways, whatever the US does, it sets precedents. Everyone looks up to the US as like the big brother, right? Like you want to
For sure.
copy what your big brother does, you want to copy. And so like the laws and the policies and like the shift in politics that you see in the US, I think that's a good example in many ways,
Yeah.
Well,
What he's doing is indeed trying to keep the peace in the world, but I also see that everything he does, there has to be an advantage for him in it.
Yeah.
That's what you pointed out in the beginning with
Yeah.
WLFI. He won't do anything if he won't benefit from it.
Yeah.
And that is also, to a degree, a risk. It hasn't played out yet. Yeah. But yeah, he looks after himself and his family. And
He does, but I will say though, he's not taking a salary as president, whereas former presidents have. And I
yeah,
do
but he
agree.
just launched WLFI, and how many billion was that?
Right. So he had a
I don't think he
workaround.
needs a salary,
Yeah.
Salary is
Yeah.
like a token thing. That's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But what I would say though is he has taken on a tremendous risk of putting his life on the line, because he was almost assassinated for, pushing a lot of these values forward that are not all financial. I mean, a
Yeah,
lot
that
of
is not good. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Charlie Kirk, but at the end of the day, nobody should die because of his political convictions.
right,
Yeah, that is
exactly.
absolutely not right. So,
Yeah.
whatever way you look at it, any assassination attempt is not right.
Right.
End
It's
of
not
story.
right. And I guess that's what I'm trying to point out, is, and I know people are like listening to this and like, hey, we came here for crypto, why are we talking about Trump so much? But the point is that politics does directly impact our finances. And right
It
now,
does. Yeah.
love him or hate him, Trump is our quarterback and he's pushing all of these policies forward. And, so to that extent, I think it is important to talk about what he's doing and support him. And because it's done, like he's in the position, like he's done,
Okay.
unless he
Look,
made it,
he's obviously a very big catalyst for crypto because under his presidency, we saw major shifts in the SEC.
Yes.
A lot of government positions that are important in the financial aspect
Yeah.
are staffed with very crypto-friendly people. So
Yeah.
that is very, very good for the crypto world. And that in itself has an effect on the rest of the world as well. Now, Europe is going a slightly different direction. They also are looking for legislation, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Not as straightforward. And like, for instance, Trump and his administration don't want CBDCs, which I think is a great
Yes.
way of looking at it. In
Yeah.
Europe, they're totally pro CBDC, but that is like Big Brother. All that is 100% Big Brother. It's like they're looking
Yeah.
over your shoulder.
Yeah.
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 So that he is so anti CBDC, I think is fantastic.
Yeah. I so agree. I brought this up on my channel as well. I want to do a whole video on just, have you heard of course you have, I'm sure, universal basic income for all?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is linked, I believe, to CBDCs. And that's that big brother effect, right? We see this in many ways going on in China, where
Absolutely.
basically they can, you get a social score, they're watching you everywhere. We already have cameras everywhere watching us. And, if they don't like your political affiliation, for instance, you vote for Trump or you vote for Kamala, whoever it is, and they don't like that, well, they can just cut you off. You don't go get, and I hope like maybe we have to censor it as part of the video, but like, if you don't go get a certain injection because of something that's airborne or in the water, if you don't go do it, then sorry, you don't have access to your money. And that's scary. So like on the one hand, universal basic income for all, it sounds great. There won't be homelessness anymore. People won't be on the streets, everyone will get income, and this is great for humanity because all life is valuable. And this is true. But in exchange for this money, you're basically handing over your life and
Yeah,
all of your own personal rights.
so you
Right?
get people off the street and you create new people that go onto the street.
Yeah, because that is what will happen, right? Like there's
Yeah.
there's like there's a splitting. I see, I don't know how you see it, but you can kind of see like this divergence happening in the world where people are going to have to opt in willingly to Bitcoin, which is Bitcoin's, call to action. It's willing. You don't have to buy Bitcoin. You don't have to participate in decentralization, but you can. And when you can, you're basically choosing to have authority over your own life, have your own sovereignty, right? And those that don't get into it or are not educated or informed through channels like ours, like it or not, like they're going to end up in this world over here of the CBDCs and just kind of like sheep being corralled, and will lose autonomy over their life. So I very much so see a world where we're splitting, like I see it that way anyway.
Yeah, no, I can follow that. And I think it's very important if you want any kind of financial freedom, then Bitcoin is the way forward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
it's well, we can talk hours about Bitcoin, but at the end of the day, Sash really say, and many like him say, altcoins are nice, but you have them to make profit and buy more Bitcoin.
And buy more Bitcoin. Exactly. That's the winning formula for sure.
So despite our channel being called AltcoinBuzz, the ultimate crypto asset is Bitcoin.
Is Bitcoin. But you do have a good name because people's like learning curve or their onboarding process into crypto is oftentimes, through altcoins and nowadays meme coins.
Yes.
Right? They come in through there,
Yeah.
they don't know what's going on, but it's trending. So, hey, I want to make money. And then eventually, hopefully, they find out, hey, there's Bitcoin and Bitcoin is pure, it's decentralized, there's no owner, there's no CEO, and the network can't be taken down. I mean, there's like a very, 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 very difficult small margin potential that it could. But actually, I heard someone, go ahead.
There is a limit to the amount of Bitcoin that will ever be available.
Exactly. And that's why we see so many nation states and funds buying so much Bitcoin right now.
Yep.
I actually heard, I forget who said it. Was it Arthur? Maybe it was Arthur Hayes. Or maybe it was somebody else, but they said that actually Bitcoin is uniting globally and is a peacemaker globally because the mining facilities, right, like are distributed, and because Bitcoin is so valuable and is going to become more and more valuable and already is becoming more and more valuable and more nations are buying into it, it's not in their best interest to, for instance, go bomb, say, China, right? Like we know that they started banning different like mining operations, but like, why are you going to go bomb countries that secure the network? Why are you going to go bomb, right? Like, because the network is distributed and is distributed across multiple nations, all of a sudden, everyone holding Bitcoin also wants to preserve their Bitcoin because it's their money rolled into it. So it has this interesting like approach and way of creating peace because you may not like that country, but you want your Bitcoin, right? So why are you going to go?
They got mining facilities.
Yeah. So very, very interesting. But that said, I'm curious as to your opinion. We know that this Friday, what is called the triple twitching expiration is happening when trillions of stocks and ETF options come to expiration. And typically when this happens, we see volatility in the market. I was just curious as to your take on this and what you think will happen in the market.
I'm not that familiar with that phenomena, to be honest.
Okay, well, that's totally fair. I mean, frankly, I wasn't either until I just reviewed the events happening this week. But I just think the timing is very interesting because we already have, as it always is, right? Like, I don't know why we're ever surprised, but there's so many events happening all the time. And the way they play out, it just makes for like a very interesting market. I just think it's interesting. We're going to see Wednesday or like tomorrow already, Jerome Powell's announcement on rate cuts. That will have an impact. We know that right now the market thinks that the conservative rate cut of 0.25% will be, it's already priced in, right? Like we'll see very little.
It is.
Very little market action, really.
It will take, like I said before, will take a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But even if in the worst case scenario, if he doesn't has any rate cuts for us, then I still think we're good because in a month it's the same time again, and
right,
they will come this year sooner or later. He will have to start doing them. But I think we haven't seen as positive outlook on the rate cuts right now for tomorrow, to be honest.
Why?
Just a general expectation. What I mentioned before, the percentage-wise in the prediction markets, that everybody expects a rate cut. So let's hope it happens.
Yeah, exactly. And then sometimes everyone expects it and then the opposite happens.
Yeah,
so
which is a typical thing for Bitcoin to do. So who knows what Powell is going to do.
Exactly. It'll be tricky. It'll be very, very tricky to see, actually. But the point is, I guess, for everyone watching this, we know this week is volatile,
It
right? Like
is very much.
I
Yeah.
always just tell my audience that like it doesn't matter. Just hold your Bitcoin, key other altcoins, although it's not financial advice. We know this. Do your own research, but like your Solana, your Sui, your obviously your Ethereum, like key if you're holding good blue chips, you have nothing to worry about. Like everything else is just the weather. It's raining outside, it's snowing. Oh well. You're solid. You know what you're standing on. Like you have a solid foundation. So we know this week is volatile. We also know that, Friday we're gonna have these different stocks and ETF options coming to expiration. We know that typically that's also volatile. So if anything, if stocks and well, not stocks, we're not talking about stocks, but like if the crypto market flails a little bit, then it's just a good time to buy some
It
more
is.
of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you still have dry powder, then definitely
Yeah. Which not
use it.
many people do.
Because we've all been waiting forever and ever for
I
this
know.
finally to start.
I
Buy the
know.
dip, buy the dip of the dip, buy the dip of
I
the dip of the
I
dip.
know. You're like collateralizing to go buy some more. I know. At
Yep.
this point,
Yeah.
I'm kind of just hanging tight, like
Yeah.
that's just my strategy. Like I'm in my positions and then like,
Yeah.
like
Same
that
here,
that's
pretty much. Now let it happen. Let it come. Let it
yeah,
roll.
exactly.
Let it roll.
Exactly. But okay, I always ask and I'm curious and I know both of our audiences are curious. Which altcoins are you the most confident in, most bullish in, and why?
Okay. Well, my biggest conviction in altcoins is Sui.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I've been with Sui from the very, very beginning when mainnet launched.
Really?
Um, I've been following it since, and since September last year, when it started to go up, um, I've been covering it religiously almost. But yeah, Sui is my biggest conviction. Then I also think the RWA sector is a very good sector to keep an eye out on.
Mm-hmm.
Ondo is the leading token
Yes.
there, the leading project.
Yeah.
That is my second token, I would say. I also have a lot of tokens in the Sui ecosystem. The Walrus is a good one.
Yes.
Deep Book, I think that is a good one to have. I also think DeFi is very interesting. Tokens like Aave and Uniswap
Yes.
are
Mm-hmm.
very good tokens to have a little bit of. On the meme coins, I'm not very active, although I do think that Pudgy Penguins could have an amazing run this time around. The way they market themselves, you with a marketing background must be looking at that and going like, wow, they do
That's
everything right.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true
so
marketing. Yeah.
yeah, it is amazing what these guys do with like Pudgy Penguins in Walmart. How can you make that up? I mean, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So I think there is a much more leeway for Pudgy Penguins. Um, so yeah, these are my main conviction tokens, I would say. Link is also something that is so undervalued.
Yes.
I can't believe that it's still not $100 right now. That's so unbelievable.
I know. Agreed.
That is, I mean, they're everywhere. You talk about crypto and Chainlink is in there one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very, very much undervalued.
Yeah.
So that could have a very good run. Personally, I'm not a big fan of Cardano and Ripple XRP, but I can see how they do relatively well.
Yeah. They have huge communities, right?
Yeah, massive
Yeah.
communities. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, they could do well. Um, but yeah,
What
that
about Solana? Because Solana is
it's
like there's
funny that you ask that. You know, I have one Solana, one. And I came into Solana when it was $8 and I was into an NFT collection and I basically used Solana to buy NFTs and they're absolutely worthless now. But I never bought Solana as an investment. I don't know why. It was always for me trade with Solana and that's it.
yeah, I hear you. I so
So
hear you.
it's a very strange thing. A lot of other, looking at my other portfolio, you would think I have a big bag of Solana, but I don't.
No,
And
yeah.
at $8, it would have been the perfect entry. And for me, it was like, man, $8 and it used to be 200. Let's buy some more NFTs.
The gateway drug. Oh no. That's so
So
true.
yeah, I sunk quite a few dollars into that, quite a few Solana into that. And but
That's
yeah,
what
I literally have one, maybe one and a half Solana. But yeah, Solana is going to do great.
it's gonna do
Absolutely,
great. Exactly. We
absolutely.
see
Yeah.
so many treasury companies like raising funds to buy, into Solana's.
Yeah, it's
Um,
gonna be
yeah,
absolutely fine. Yeah.
it's gonna,
thousand
yeah,
dollars easily, I would think this one.
yeah. Solana's gonna
Yeah.
fly. And I'd also say Bonk because we even see Bonk ETFs popping up. And Bonk is also an interesting use case for memes. Actually, this whole topic is one that I want to do a video on because I know meme coins they're they're gambling. Okay,
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely. I prefer utility coins
yeah,
any time
yeah,
of the day.
yeah. It's such a gamble. I always preface that when I speak about meme coins. But as you said, there's pudgy penguins. There's some exceptions. There's pudgy
Oh,
penguins. Of
there
course,
is. Oh yeah.
Doge, right?
Yeah.
And so there are some exceptions, but you have to know that. And then who was it? Was it Bernie Sanders? They asked him like why his investment portfolio and career has been as it has because I think he mainly focuses on like he started it with like penny stocks and then he invests in like specific commodities and he said it really comes down to what he understands and that's been his path, and I think that on the one hand there's data and I think pretty much all of your altcoin picks, if I could chime in on my opinion on them, I pretty much believe in all the tokens you mentioned. um but it does also come down to, are you going to pay attention? Like, do you like the tokens that you're holding? Because for instance, like Solana is a clear winner, but it hasn't, like it hasn't really been one of the projects and the tokens that you're holding. And you really can't argue with that, right? Because there is the big responsibility in whatever you're holding to make sure you keep up with the news, to make sure you are following your investments. So if you're not immediately like called, right, or like interested in a specific token, then you probably shouldn't buy it. Don't buy it just because your friend told you to buy it. Like, are you going to keep up? If you're not, then don't buy it. You're
I
better off
do
holding.
have I do have Solana ecosystem tokens,
Yeah.
Um PIS, PIS or PIS or whatever you want to call it, PYTH, the
I, I don't know this
Oracle.
one. Yeah, I am not familiar with this one.
Oh, okay. They had just a massive boost. What was that again about?
How do you spell it? Maybe I didn't catch it.
PYTH?
P P Y T. Oh, Pith. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that
Yeah.
one. Uh,
Yeah.
Camino is also a gem
Yes,
in the
Camille.
Solana ecosystem that could do really, really well, I think.
Yeah.
Besides the usual picks like Jupiter, Radium, you name
Right.
it. But I
Agreed.
mean, yeah, I have ecosystem coins more than I have Solana.
Hey, it's like yeah. I mean, I completely understand what you're saying because for me, Ethereum, like I know multiple treasury companies, corporations, everyone's scooping Ethereum, and I have some Ethereum, but I can't help but think of Ethereum as gas. And so that, but I'm holding multiple Ethereum, ecosystem tokens. But I
I,
like my
yeah,
brain is kind of wired. I see it as my gas,
yeah.
but then I know other people, so
Why use Ethereum when there is Sui and Solana?
hello.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. I
It's
still
like
hear you.
I sold all my Ethereum and went all in on Sui. No regrets, absolutely
Yeah.
zero. I mean, Ethereum probably will hit 10K. But what
Yeah,
is that? Like 2.5 from here?
I know. I
Well,
know.
great. And Tommy Lee, he's sinking a lot of money into Ethereum, but I really don't think it's going to go beyond 10K. Not this
Yeah.
cycle. Not this
Yeah.
cycle. But
Yeah.
then
Well, I mean,
again, at the scale that they put money into it, 2.5K is a massive amount of money.
it is a massive amount, but you know what? I believe that there is a lot of like OTC sort of manipulation going on, both with Bitcoin and Ethereum, because there's just no way that so many countries and hundreds, I don't even know how many corporations right now are buying astronomical amounts of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and somehow it hasn't surged into like,
Yeah,
like it doesn't make sense. Like it literally
not at
doesn't make
all.
sense to me.
Not at all.
And
I
so I
fully
believe,
agree with you on that
yeah.
one.
So even if Tom Lee is, has the, like the very bullish perspective on Ethereum and all these things, like it's in their, they know how to manipulate the books.
I know, yeah. And
The market
for
maker, like,
you know,
yeah.
people who don't know Tommy Lee, he's the guy that predicted I don't know how many years ago that Bitcoin would surge, and now he's totally bullish on Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
But talking about market manipulation, do you know a guy called Marty Party on
Mm-hmm.
X?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I really like how he points out how Binance and all these big exchanges are also manipulating the market with them
Really?
market makers. Yeah, he does that. He points
Hmm.
that out. He shows how Binance sends Solana to winter tour and how they sell it and basically manipulate the market. And that is because there is no legislation against that. A bank couldn't do that. Not that I like a bank, don't get me wrong, but
I
in crypto, it is possible to manipulate markets like that.
mm-hmm.
And that should not be allowed, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It'd be great if they
So
rolled out some legislation around this.
it is coming.
It's
It is coming. And
good.
I think it's a good thing.
I think so too. I think so too. I think that, yeah, I feel like we could go on and on about this.
Oh, yeah,
It's a good, no,
absolutely.
but it's so true. Like, I feel like like the decentralization, like Bitcoin maxis hate and have hated all of the, the SEC. And of course, because the SEC was really like oppressing like the crypto
Yeah,
industry. We know
absolutely.
this, and, but, we have to be able to like see clearly and separate what's what. And I think the oppression that came from bad actors that were replaced, but that doesn't change the fact that the crypto space, in order to grow and in order to be respected, in order to be safe for new people, right? Um, just needed some clarity. And so I think it's great. I think we're seeing progress happening in the right direction. The Clarity Act, the Genius Act. I think, voting against the CBDC in the US, like, I think that it's good. Such a
Positive.
wonderful
Yeah.
direction the US is moving in, and hopefully that sets precedents, as we were talking about in the beginning of today's conversation. Hopefully that sets precedents and a domino effect across other countries in the world, and they learn from the US, and we should probably do that too. And of course, we know that Bukele in El Salvador has been doing an amazing job at
But
also.
I think countries like El Salvador and Bhutan, what they are doing, that's amazing. That is really
Yeah.
very, very interesting and should be eye openers for other countries. But you also see that a lot more countries are actually getting interested by Bitcoin, that planning to have reserves, Bitcoin reserves. So let's wait for a couple of more years and see how that works out. Because if all these countries actually will do that, then where is the price from Bitcoin going to be?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it
It's the new
must be
goal.
like 500,000, 1,000,000. I don't know.
Yep. Agreed. I think we're looking at least $1 million. Where do you think, okay, we'll close on this. Where do you think like Bitcoin, like Bitcoin's all-time high this bull run? Like where do we see Bitcoin? What price point?
Until the end of this year?
At the end of like this bull run, because right now people don't
Well, okay.
like the theories are, of course, you would probably know more than me since you live in the research, but like there, there's like theories and many
I
beliefs
think,
on how we're not looking at like traditional bull run, right? It's going to be longer.
yeah, I hope so.
Well, it's not following in the traditional
It isn't at all. So it could
process.
be
So
that we don't see a Bitcoin bear market anymore.
I
With
agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, we will see a bit of a retracement, but
Yeah.
not in the way that we saw that before.
I
But
agree.
I also think Bitcoin decoupled at certain stages from the rest of the crypto market and did
Yeah.
his own thing.
Yep.
So that's very interesting developments to see how they play out. But I
Yep.
think in the best case scenario, I see Bitcoin at 250,000.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
about right.
in the normal case, I would see it around 200. And in the worst case, I think we still hit 170, 175.
Really?
100,
Uh,
the worst case,
Yeah.
maybe 150. But still,
Yeah.
I mean, that's another, what, 35 from where we are.
Right. Yeah. That's very conservative. I could see that as like the worst case scenario. Um,
Yeah, but I think 200, 175, 200 is more realistic.
yeah. I see at least to 200,000 up to like a 300,000.
Yeah,
Definitely
that range
retracement
sounds
along the
reasonable.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I agree with you on the fact that I think Bitcoin has decoupled from the crypto market is still kind of lagging behind M2, right? The global money
Yeah,
supply.
yeah, yeah.
But I believe it's breaking into and becoming its own market. And actually, you're making me think about how we may see the same with Ethereum, Solana, Sui. Eventually, they may become they'll be basketed into the crypto market. But I think ultimately, because they're each of them are worlds, right? They're whole worlds, whole ecosystems. I think eventually, I'm just kind of calling it, I could see each of them kind of becoming their own complete markets, but we'll see. And I do agree with you on how Bitcoin will not necessarily see a bear market. I think
Yeah.
it goes up only from here, but along the way, little. I
Oh,
call them
there
like
will always be
deep
dips.
breaths. It's like the
Yeah,
market taking a deep breath. It's like,
yeah,
like a
yeah,
heartbeat.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing goes in a straight line. Not real life, not
Right.
crypto.
Only a rocket, okay? But
There you
even
go.
then it crashes. Bitcoin won't crash.
Yeah.
All is well. But anyway, thank you so much for joining
Yeah, it
me
was
today.
my pleasure. Very nice. Was nice talking.
Yeah, it was an awesome conversation. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
50 minutes went by like
Like
nothing.
nothing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very
Great.
interesting. It's always nice
Good.
to talk to researchers, because you kind of thinkers. Yeah.
Thank
But
you. Thank
anyway,
you.